Okay, good morning. Welcome. Um, this morning, I'd like for us to work with the spring tapas sequence that was created by Jen Prue. If you practice with me at Breathe Together Yoga in Los Gatos, you may attend some of my normal 6 a.m. Hot tapas classes. And so, if you don't that practice with me regularly, just to tell you a little bit about it, um, this sequence was created mostly by Jen Prue, and then over the years, it's been kind of refined and developed by a number of teachers um, that teach it throughout the week there, including myself. Um, so normally we would be doing this in a slightly heated room with a fountain going so that there would be some nice, soft, warm humidity in the air. So if you want to turn your heater up, you can do that, but you don't have to if you don't want to. There are four tapas sequences, and that word tapas, um, it is often translated into English as austerity or discipline. And I've never really found a good one word English translation of the word tapas. Um, I could say like a personal definition that I connect with more would be the hardship that we willingly undergo in order to participate in an exchange of self effort and grace. So it is engaging um, the power of our self effort in order to pave the way for that flow of grace. So, like an example of tapas in a traditional sense could be like people that go on a long pilgrimage, for instance, and maybe they walk barefoot the entire distance to get there. Um, they are willingly, joyfully undergoing some difficulty because of the spiritual benefit to them. So, or like another example would be like there are, even to this day, there are yogis who they'll maybe take a very, what we would consider a very extreme vow, like a lifetime vow, maybe a vow of silence for the rest of their lives, or they might take a vow that they're going to hold one arm over their head like for the rest of their life, and they do, and the arm becomes all skinny and frozen in place, and that's a real thing. So why would people choose to take on that kind of a heart? Don't worry, we're not going to do anything like that today. But why would people choose to go through? Good morning, everyone. Just looking at your comments. Why would they choose to go through some hardship like that? Because of the spiritual benefit that is gained through it. So in comparison, the kind of tapas that we are engaging in this particular practice is very mild. This is a moderate classical hatha yoga practice, meaning we're not using vinyasa in between the poses to link postures or sets of postures together. We're going essentially just from one posture to another posture. But there's an invitation here with this practice to connect to that spirit of tapas in understanding the significance of our self effort. And at the end of our practice, I'm going to tell you a small story about self effort and grace. And So you can, if you need to go about your day at that time, you can just turn off the video and enjoy your day. But if you want to stick around for a small storytelling session, then you can do that. The focus of the spring sequence, there are four sequences that correspond with the seasons. So we're in the spring sequence, and it's my first time teaching the spring sequence because we uh, went into shelter at home at the end of the winter sequence. So now we are um, into the spring sequence. And the focus for that's why I have it written down in front of me, and I'll be looking at the paper a lot this morning because I don't have it memorized yet. It usually takes me a few rounds of teaching it to refresh my memory enough to teach it from memory. So the focus for the spring sequence is cleansing and new beginnings and growth. The organs are liver and gallbladder. The element is wood. So the sequence, all the Tapas sequences are created using principles of Ayurveda and Chinese medicine. And so that's why we have like the yin organ is the liver and the yang organ is the gallbladder and things like that. That comes from the Chinese medicine. Um, Hi. Well, good morning. Yeah. Um, if you have a yoga block handy, it would be good to keep that with you for this practice. You may not need it, but you may find that it's helpful. And if you don't have a block, you can find, I don't actually have a block with me, so you can find maybe a thick book or a little box or even a water bottle, just something that you can elevate your hand height a little bit. Um, might be good for you. So, that said, I think that's enough of an introduction, don't you, Roma? My intention is for us to do this spring sequence on these Monday morning practices at least a few times. Um, so, we won't get so far through the sequence today. Usually, as we repeat the sequence over and over, we can start adding to it and fleshing it out a little bit more. But today, we'll just start with the basic skeletal structure of the sequence. So, we're going to begin in child's pose. So, you can bring your forehead to the mat. And I like to take my knees wide in child's pose. Breathing deeply. Take a moment here to set your intentions. And then we're going to walk it over to the right. Just move your hands and your upper body over to the right. And if you want, you can place your right hand over your left hand here to kind of anchor it so you can enjoy that gentle stretch in the left side body. And then walk it over to the left. And same thing, if you want, you can place the left hand over the right to anchor it and breathe into the right side body. And then coming back to center, walk the hands in and bring the knees together. Sit back on the heels if this is a comfortable position for you. And we're going to just take 3 ohms together. So you can bring the hands to the heart and take a deep breath in. Okay, come forward onto hands and knees. And we'll inhale, reaching the right arm out and up. Exhale, reach through and come onto the back of the right shoulder. And you can stay right here, just pressing into that left hand to deepen the twist, or reach that left hand forward. You may feel that the hips are kind of swinging over to the left here. You might try with just pushing the hips slightly to the right. And then bring that left hand under your left shoulder and press up to all fours. Inhale, the left arm reaches out and up. Exhale, reach through, coming onto the back of the left shoulder. And again, you can either just press into that right hand or slide the right hand forward. And then if you feel the hips drifting over to the right, you can move them to the left just slightly. And then walking that right hand back, press up to all fours. And we're going to reach the right arm forward and the left leg back. So take a deep breath in here. And then as you exhale, round your back and bring your knee and elbow together. So round as much as you can. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, round, knee and elbow together. One more time. Inhale, stretch it out. And exhale, round. And coming back to hands and knees, change sides. Reach the left arm forward and the right leg back. Take a deep breath in here. Exhale, round your back, knee and elbow together. Inhale, reach long. Exhale, round. Inhale. And exhale, round. And then coming back to hands and knees. Take the feet a little bit wider, and we're going to walk the hands back, lift the knees up, and settle into Malasana. So this is our yogic squat here, as they say. So some of us will be more comfortable sitting on a block for this pose, or rolling up a blanket or towel or something and putting it underneath the heels. If you're comfortable without propping, you can use your elbows to gently press the knees open. Try to press down through the pinky side edges of your feet and lift the top of your chest. From here, take the hands down, lift your hips, and heel toe the feet to about hip distance apart. Give a little bend to the knees, and inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold forward, and we're going to hold the elbows here. Let the upper body hang. Breathing all the way to empty and all the way to full. And then keeping the knees bent, set your hands shoulder distance apart on your mat, and you might turn them slightly out so that it's more the index fingers pointing forward than the middle fingers. From here, we're going to lift the heels, so you might have to bend your knees more, and then drop your hips so that your knees tuck into your upper arms. So this is preparation for Bakasana or crane pose. And we're going to try lifting just one foot. Squeeze your heel toward your bum. Try to round your upper back as much as you can. Keep the eyes looking forward. Then set that foot down and lift the other one. Keep rounding your upper back. Squeeze your heel toward your bum and release. Set the heels down. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold forward. And then with a big inhale, we're going to reach out and up. And exhale, bring the hands back to the heart. Okay, so next we have Nauli Kriya. We are going to do kind of just the precursor to Nauli Kriya this morning. So Nauli is kind of a whole massaging of the abdominals, but we're going to just do Uddiyana Kriya, which is sort of the preparatory phase this morning. So what we'll do is you can take the feet maybe a little wider than your hips and bend the knees and rest your hands on your thighs. Now, if you are pregnant or on the first 3 days of your menstrual cycle, don't do this part with pulling the belly in and emptying the breath. You can just breathe normally, and you can do kind of like a cat-cow breath where you inhale, arching the back, and exhale round like that. That's fine. Otherwise, the practice will go, you'll inhale, arching the back and lifting the chin, and then exhale through the mouth, round your back. At the bottom of your exhalation, close off the back of the throat and suck the belly in and up. So it's like you're trying to hollow the belly. And then inhale. 2 more of those. Exhale through the mouth. Close the back of the throat. Suck the belly in and up. Inhale. Exhale. Hollow the belly. Inhale and come to standing. Okay, let me just move you back a little bit. Can everybody still hear me okay? Okay. So standing at the front of your mat, we're going to do one more variation of that arm balance. So we did kind of a Bakasana prep. Um, okay, great. And this time we're going to do start to work toward the full posture. So, okay, great. I'm glad we're all together. So this time you can start with the feet again about hip distance apart. Um, Bringing the hands down to the mat, round your back as much as you can to begin and lift your heels high. So then kind of drop your hips so that your knees fit into the armpits. And again, you can do what we did before where you're just lifting one foot and then the other. If you're feeling more adventurous and you want to try taking both feet up, you can just gently lean forward, and float that second leg up, squeezing your heels toward your bum, round your back, and maybe step back or jump back to chaturanga. You can do a vinyasa here if you want, or just set the feet down. And then we're going to walk the feet forward to the front of the mat. If you did that vinyasa, inhale, lengthen, exhale, fold. Bend your knees deeply and reach up to chair pose, Utkatasana. Take the left arm forward and the right arm to the side. You're going to swing that right arm underneath to wind the arms together. Bend your knees deeply and lift your right leg up and over the left. So if possible, you're tucking your right toes behind your left calf. And take the feet together. Unwind the arms. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, right arm forward, left arm to the side. Bring that left arm underneath, winding the arms together. Bend your knees and lift your left leg up and over the right. Excuse me. And then step the feet together, unwind the arms, inhale, reach up, and exhale to standing. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see me a little bit better here. Inhale, reach up. Take hold of your left wrist, pressing your left palm to the sky, and lift up and over to the right. See if you can draw the front ribs in and down as you lean. Inhale, come to center, change hands, and exhale, lift up and over to the left, drawing the front ribs in and down. Inhale, come up, and exhale, release. Oh, there's one more, the standing back bend. So take your hands onto your low back and pushing through your heels, take the inner thighs back from the glutes. Press the top of your heart toward the sky, lift your gaze, and lean back any amount. So it might just be a small amount, and you're working on pushing the top of your chest to the sky and making space in your low back. Or you can start to go back a little bit more. Keep the glutes engaged and the inner thighs going back at the same time. Keep pressing the top of the chest to the sky, maybe going back a little bit more. And inhale, come up. And exhale, we'll go all the way forward. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees deeply and step your left foot to the back of your mat. So we're in a nice long lunge here. Take that left knee down and inhale, reach up. Exhale, bring the hands to the heart and twist. Hook your left elbow across your right thigh. Tuck your left toes under and step forward to the front of your mat. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees and step your right foot to the back of your mat. Take that right knee down and inhale to reach up. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart and twist to the left. And then looking forward, inhale, reach up, look up. Exhale, take the hands down. This time we're going to step back to downward facing dog. Step your right foot all the way between the hands. Remember, if it doesn't make it all the way forward, you can just take your right hand behind your heel and help it come forward. So you're in that nice elongated lunge. Keep that left heel lifted and rise up to a high crescent. So there can be a tendency in this posture for that left thigh to kind of droop. See if you can keep it lifted. It's natural for the pelvis to tilt forward a little bit. See if you can keep the front ribs in and down. Exhale, bring the hands down, step back to downward facing dog, and change sides. Step the left foot between the hands, and inhale, reach up. Soften the neck and the jaw. Exhale, bring the hands down. Step that right foot forward. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach all the way up. Exhale to standing. Take a step out to the side so you're facing me. And like we mentioned last week, the distance between your 2 feet can be approximately the length of one of your own legs, give or take a little bit. Feet parallel or just only slightly turned out, whatever's comfortable for you. With your hands on your hips, inhale, lift your chest, look up, and exhale, go forward. So if you can, you're going to hold your big toes with your index finger, middle finger, and thumb. If you can't reach your big toes, you can hold on to your shins or your thighs, even whatever makes sense for your body. Inhale, lengthen and look forward, and exhale, fold. So as we fold forward, we're going to lift the elbows straight up toward the sky. Shoulders move away from the ears. Firm the thighs. Eyes looking toward the belly. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, interlace your fingers behind your back and fold forward one more time. You can always hold a towel or a strap between the hands if that's easier for you. Press down through the inner arches of the feet. Notice that tendency to kind of collapse into the outer ankles. See if you can counter that by pushing down through the inner arches and firming the thighs. Then bringing your hands to the mat. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, bring your hands to your hips. Inhale, come all the way up. And exhale here. So remember, anytime you're coming up out of an inverted posture where the head is below the heart, you want to take a really deep breath in so that you don't get dizzy. So from here, I will mirror you. Go ahead and turn your right toes out and your left toes in. Bend your right knee and reach the arms wide. So coming into a traditional warrior two, we're going to mix it up a little bit. That left arm is going to wrap around behind your back and reach toward the top of your right thigh. Inhale, straightening the right leg. Keep that half bind as you reach forward and take your right hand to your shin or to your ankle. We're in a very long stance, so it might not make as much sense to hold the big toe. If you're very flexible, that right hand could go behind your right leg. Press your right sit bone toward your left heel to lengthen that right side waist and turn your chest toward the sky. Then look down, bend your right knee, set your right hand forward and slightly over to the right. And we're going to lift up into Ardha Chandrasana, keeping that half bind. Try to stay as light on your right fingertips as you can. Keep the toes of that right foot spread wide. Press back through the left heel and bend your right knee, stepping back into warrior two. Reach both arms wide and straighten the right leg. Let's turn the right toes in and the left toes out. Bend the left knee now. And we'll take the right arm around behind the back, reaching for the top of that left thigh. Straightening the left leg, reach forward, keeping that half bind. Take your left hand to the shin or ankle or all the way to the floor, whatever fits your body today. Left sit bone to right heel. And if you feel a little stiff in the low back here, try turning your back foot in even more so that right heel can push towards the back edge of your mat, and see if that makes a little bit more space in your low back. From here, look down, bend that left knee, set your left hand forward and slightly over to the left, and then lift up into that Ardha Chandrasana with the half bind. Reach back through the right heel. And bend your left knee and step back to warrior two, reaching both arms wide. And then straighten the left leg. Turn that left foot in. And we're going to take heels in, toes out, setting up for a goddess pose. So nice deep bend in the knees. And let's actually do a proper goddess mudra today. So I will mirror you. The mudra is called Ardha Chandra. And it's just like this. The fingers are collected with the thumbs extended like that. And I had to do opposite of you. Okay, so your right palm is going to be fingers up with the thumb pointing in, and your left palm will be fingers down. And notice that my elbows are kind of away from my sides a little bit. Now we can bend the knees. So in this mudra, the right hand is showing Abhaya mudra, which it means don't have any fear, be courageous. And the left hand is showing Varda, which is generosity. So if you can sit a little deeper. And straighten the legs. Okay, so from here, we're going to do revolve triangle. So here's where you may want to use your block. And my yoga props are in storage right now, and I haven't ventured out to go get them. So I have a box of lemongrass chai that's going to be my yoga block today. We are going to turn toward the front of your mat so you're facing your right leg. And I always say that with standing postures, there are postures that happen on a balance beam and postures that happen on railroad tracks. If you're on a balance beam, you would imagine one line going down the center of your mat and both feet would be on that same line. So an example of a balance beam posture would be like warrior two, like we just did. This posture, revolve triangle, is going to be railroad tracks. So if you imagine the other line, so the left foot will not be directly behind the right foot. And if you look at my left foot, you'll see I have it turned in quite a lot. Bring your hands to your hips and play around, pivoting on the ball of that left foot. Just play around with the position of your left foot and notice how the slightest movement of the left foot, changing that angle, affects the position of the hips. So ideally, we want that back foot to be set up in such a way that the hips can easily point straight forward. So from here, we're going to just come forward, and if you're using a block or a box of tea, you can set it directly below your left hand. From here, reach your right arm out to the side, straight out to the side. Turn your chin toward your right shoulder and let your eyes follow your hand into the twist. And you may not be able to get your arm going straight up in the air. That's okay. Don't worry so much about that. Focus on the strength of your back and the strength of your core turning to make that twist. And it's okay if the hips don't stay perfectly square. Push back through that left heel, lengthening from the crown of your head to your tailbone. Keep the right arm lifted and look down for a moment. We're going to give a little bend to the right knee. Set your left hand forward an inch or two And we're gonna lift up into revolved half moon. Parivrita Ardha Chandrasana. And then exhale, bring that right hand down. Bend your right knee, touching that left foot to the back of your mat. And then bring your block or tea box or book or whatever you have with you as you turn the right foot in and the left foot out. So now we are facing the back of the mat. And I'm going to do the same thing here, thinking about those railroad tracks. Left foot on one track, right foot on the other track, and play around with pivoting that back foot until the hips are as even with each other as you can and pointing straight ahead. We're going to come forward and set your block or your whatever you're using directly below that right shoulder. In Ashtanga, we do a variation where we cross over the foot, but that's a pretty hard variation of the pose. So just wherever your hand naturally falls directly below your shoulder. From here, reach your left arm out to the side and open into the twist. Keep the left hand lifted as you look down. Give a little bend to the left knee. Set your right hand slightly forward and lift up. If it feels hard, it's because it is hard. Bend that left knee and touch back. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, step back to downward facing dog, or if you're craving a vinyasa, you can do a vinyasa here. Inhale, the right leg reaches up. Exhale, touch your right knee to the back of your right wrist for pigeon pose with the shin at an angle and drop that left knee. We're going to slide the left leg back. And if you have any pain in your right knee or discomfort in your right knee, two options. One, you can try flipping that right shin around so that you're just sitting on your heel. And for some people, that makes it doable for them. If you're still having pain in your knee, you're going to lie down and do thread the needle instead, like this. If you're comfortable in pigeon, if you haven't already, you can take a deep breath in, lifting your chest, and exhale, go forward. And lifting your head, slowly walk the hands back. Tuck your left toes under and step to downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg reaches. Exhale, bring your left knee to your left wrist. Drop the right knee and slide that right leg back. Again, you know the modifications if you need them. Take a deep breath in, lift your chest, and exhale, go forward. Inhale, come up. Lean into that left hip and swing your right leg around to the front. And with a nice deep bend in the knees, take your hands under your thighs. Inhale, lift your chest. And exhale, go forward. Lay your body out over your legs. Wrap your arms under you and let the head hang forward. You can stay right here if this feels right for you, or you can slide your feet forward more, or you can straighten your legs and hold your feet, whatever feels best for your body. And inhale, come up. We're going to take the legs wide. If you want, you can turn sideways on your mat. And you may be more comfortable elevating your hips on a cushion of some sort, a bolster, or a folded blanket. Firm the thighs, press out through the heels, take a deep breath in, and exhale, walk the hands forward. You could lock out the elbows and let the head hang. You can come down onto the elbows and support your forehead with your hands. Or you could make two fists and rest your forehead on your two fists. Whatever makes sense for you. And inhale, slowly coming up. Take your hands under your knees and lift them together. And then lie down onto your back. Bend your knees and place the soles of your feet on the floor. And you're going to shift your hips over to the left a little bit. Then cross your left leg over your right. Bring your knees in toward your chest first. If you want, you can try tucking your toes behind your calf like you did for eagle pose. And then we're just going to lower the legs over to the right and let your chin roll toward the left shoulder. I'm reaching my left arm out to the side here. Coming back to center, unwind the legs, and you're going to move your hips over to the right a little bit and draw your knees into your chest. Take your right leg over the left and lower your legs to the left. This time, chin to the right shoulder, and I'm reaching my right arm out to the side. Coming back to center, unwind your legs, move your hips back into the center, and extend the legs out, setting up for Shavasana. So, let me turn the lights down a little bit. And you can sing. Get nice and comfortable. Letting the breath begin to settle. Ramaya Rama Ramachandra Ramachandra Raghu Nathai Nathai Sita Atai Shri Rama Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama Shri Rama Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama 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 Shri Rama Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Rama Shri Rama Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Shri Rama Jaya Rama Jaya 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 Take the day. Take a deep breath in and hold. Exhale through the mouth. Gently move and stretch your body in any way that feels natural to you. Slowly roll yourself over to one side and bring yourself to a seat. So, if you need to go ahead and start your day, you can leave us and we'll see you next time. If you have just a few minutes, 5 or so minutes extra, I'd like to share a little story with you that maybe will help um, start your day on a good note. So the story comes from the Ramayana, the great epic that tells the story of Rama and Sita and Hanuman and Lakshman and um, their pastimes on this earth. When Mother Sita was kidnapped by the demon Ravana, um, uh, Rama and his brother Lakshman had to travel the length of India in order to find her. And because of Hanuman's assistance, they were able to finally locate her in Lanka, what we now call Sri Lanka. And um, knowing that Mother Sita was uh, in being held like a prisoner in Lanka, um, the Hanuman enlisted an entire monkey army, not just normal monkeys, but a special ancient race of monkeys that were super intelligent and very big and very, very strong. To help them build a bridge from the southernmost tip of India to Lanka. And the entire army of monkeys and all of their supporters and many other great warriors could cross that bridge to Lanka and do battle with Ravana there and hopefully rescue Sita. So, in the process of building this bridge, these beautiful, strong, large, intelligent monkeys, they were uh, taking enormous rocks and boulders and rolling them into the sea. And that was making a fine bridge up to a point, but as the water started getting deeper, it required more and more rocks and boulders in each place for the bridge to extend all the way to the surface of the water. So, as you know from the beach, the water in the ocean generally becomes much deeper. So the progress of the bridge was going slower and slower and slower the further away from the shore the bridge went. So Hanuman told the monkeys to write the name of Rama onto the rocks. And then they began to write the name of Rama onto the rocks. And as they would roll them into the sea, the rocks would then float by the power of Ram's name. So that was going much better then. The construction of the river began to go much faster at that point. Now, there happened to be a little chipmunk that was watching all of this from the beach. And he saw Lord Rama standing on the beach overseeing the construction of this bridge. And he could see on Rama's face, etched into Rama's face, he could see his longing to be reunited with Mother Sita. He could see Ram's goodness, his purity, his dharma, his nobility, um, just shining through him. And this chipmunk was so moved by the sight of Rama in this state of yearning to be united with his beloved that the chipmunk wanted to do anything that he possibly could in order to assist with building the bridge. So what he did was he jumped into the sea. He got himself really wet, and then he came out onto the sand and rolled himself in the sand, rolled and rolled around until he was covered in sand. And then he would scamper out across the bridge and he would shake himself like that so that the little grains of sand would fall down onto the bridge. And he went from there back to the ocean, wet himself in the waves, rolled himself in the sand, scampered out onto the bridge and shook the sand off. And then back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. He was going over and over and over again to the waves, to the sand, to the bridge, to the waves, to the sand, to the bridge, back and forth, shaking the sand off. And the monkeys were watching all of this with great attention, and they found it terribly amusing. This tiny, tiny little chipmunk, here they were, this magnificent race of ancient monkey people that were able to roll entire boulders into the sea. And this little chipmunk was just shaking a few grains of sand here and there onto the bridge. They had a really good laugh about it. And they began to tease the chipmunk and say, okay, buddy, like that's enough. We don't want you to hurt yourself here. You know, how could you possibly think that these few grains of sand that you're contributing are really helping in this cause? You know, you'd be better off just observing from the shore. But the little chipmunk, he would not be deterred by their taunts. And so he just completely tuned them out, and he just kept doing his seva. And Rama, seeing the sweetness and the innocent, selfless service of this little chipmunk, tears began to fall from his eyes. And he reached down and he picked up that little chipmunk in his hand and he stroked it with his fingers. And they say that that's why chipmunks have stripes down their back, because of the touch of Lord Rama. So it's such a sweet story. It's such a sweet scene to imagine. And there's a very important meaning in this story, which is that in our lives, we may feel that our efforts are insignificant in some way, that whatever small contribution we have to make to the world around us, to the society around us, that maybe that contribution is too small or too insignificant to mean much or to be worth much. But the reality is, when we perform an action from a place of loving God, of loving the divine, of wanting to serve the divine, not my will, but your will be done. Let me be your hands and feet. Let my every action be dedicated to you. Then even God himself or herself is moved. And that brings us back to what we spoke about in the beginning of our practice today, that concept of tapas, that exchange of self-effort and grace. So it's not just any effort that brings this flow of grace, but it's the effort that we do from our selflessness, from our connection to love, our connection to the divine. It's when the heart is moved into action uh, that invites that flow of great grace. So we may find ourselves at this particular moment in our lives feeling somewhat helpless at times, or like whatever efforts that we're doing uh, may be small and insignificant. Maybe the best that we can do at this time is just stay home. But don't feel that your efforts are insignificant in any way. Do the action, do the dharmic action, the right action, the good action, and let yourself be motivated by love. Serve love, and don't feel that your contribution is ever too small. It moves the heart of God more than we could ever know. So, with that, I hope that you have an amazing day. Let's close our practice together just chanting Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Take a deep breath in. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Enjoy the rest of your day. Our next practice together will be Thursday at 10:30 a.m. And I look forward to seeing you then. Take good care of yourselves. Um, Sending much love to everyone.